What's up, party people?
Like
That's
people are partying at 12 in the morning on Sunday
that
or
isn't that
1.
a weird phrase? Like it just struck me how weird that is. Like party people.
If someone said that in the club, I would just be like, I would automatically be turned off. I would just be like, yo, chill. Like,
Yeah.
we're obviously here to party. Like,
No, it's also one of those things like, dude, you're trying too hard. Like what do you
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
why are you saying that? Like what is this, Night at the Roxbury's? You sound like a
That's
cornball.
that's the generic like DJ handbook is just like open up by saying, "What's up, party people?"
They're guaranteed to like you after you say that.
What
And
else is in that handbook?
they're gonna
There would
think you're
be
cool.
the what's that one song? It's like if you got $100 bills, put your hands up. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
That would
Yeah.
be in the handbook. Uh,
Also, how to spike drinks and do
yep.
fucked up shit to women is probably in that handbook.
Yep. The
Yeah, that handbook's got
how to
that
gel your
handbook's
hair.
mostly about
Very
cocaine.
spiky.
Like 83
Yeah.
pages in it are about how to do cocaine or how to do like E or MDMA.
That would be a great book. Like a DJ, like a 1985 DJ just came out and wrote a book on like how to be a DJ.
Yeah, yeah. What's going on, man? We haven't done a podcast in a while.
Nothing, dude. Just fucking working and that's it. Just I'm just tired of shit.
Yeah, I
Trying
hear
to.
you. For everybody wondering why you can't like see me and Corin today, it's because we're lazy bums. By
Mm-hmm.
the way, man, I don't know if you remember, but we like in an old podcast I was talking about how like I wanted to continue to do the podcast with no video, but I couldn't figure out how to do it.
That's so crazy. You just said that shit, dude.
It's like the easiest thing in the world.
I know. So my fiance now, Molly, listens to the show like religiously. She's listened to all the episodes.
Uh-huh.
And she said to me this morning, she was like, "You doing the show today?" I was like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna do it, but like only audio." She was like, "Oh, if I think one of the early episodes, Kyle was like, I want to just do only audio, but I only know how to do it like with video or something." And I said to her, and I was like, wait, he said that? Like, I feel like just doing audio would just be like way easier. I feel
No,
like get
exactly. But the thing is, I'm that stupid. Like, guys, you gotta understand. Like, I only know how to do what I know how to do for my show. So, like, with Skype and shit, I very rarely used Skype in my life. I very rarely used Google Hangout. I've had to use it more now that I'm doing other stuff too. But like, I
Mhm.
didn't know anything about anything. So, and nobody fucking told me when I asked people, like, oh, how do I do like a long distance podcast with just audio and no video? I asked like 4 people. Literally nobody was like, just do it on Skype and turn off the camera.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm the fucking moron who's like, like the first few podcasts we did, all I saw was the video thing. I'm like, well, I guess we got to do a video. That's all it is. I mean, what are we going to do? There's no way to do this just audio ever. Nobody's fucking invented it yet. And then
Yo,
today,
it's so funny
and
you said
beforehand, I was like, oh, wait, all I got to do is just literally click this one fucking thing, and that's it. And then now the thing is, I mean, look, I'm most of the time, I at least, and you could tell me what you think about this, but like we already gave people a little taste of seeing us, so I feel like we
Yeah.
can't go back. So it's like this is just like a one-time thing. We'll do the audio, and then when we look half decent, like you've got a caveman beard going on right now. You told me, and I
Yeah.
basically look like a 17-year-old boy with pimples on my face, and I didn't want to gel my hair, and it's too long, and so I was just, and I'm too tired, so I just wanted to do this one with no video.
I love though how like even when we're on video, like we say we spruce it up, but we still just look like bums
Oh,
anyway.
100%, yeah. But I mean, the bumness level today is just off the
Oh yeah,
fucking charts.
is off the charts.
Yeah.
But I don't get. I mean, like you said, I don't know Skype either at all, and that's why I turned this shit on today at Molly. She's standing over the computer as I turn it on, and there's like two like weary ass friend requests. Like one is the name is Tasty Destiny with a Z, 437. The other one is like Christine dot Sanson or some shit.
Well, she
So
sounds
like,
hot.
what's that?
She sounds hot.
Yeah, probably. You know, but like, so I open up Skype and like there's those two random names, and Molly's like, "Who's Tasty Destiny?" I'm like, I have no fucking. The only time I go on Skype is when I do the show. Like,
Oh, that's fucking hilarious. I wonder if it works like kind of like Twitter. Like with Twitter,
yeah,
you just get I get like bots. Like bots will follow you. The more followers you get, the more fake followers you seem to get also. And
exactly.
like I'll like you can do an audit of your Twitter thing to see how many of your followers are real and fake. I think like 86% of mine are real and the rest are fake. But like, you go
who
through
makes
it.
fake accounts? Like, who does? What's the purpose of those?
I don't know. There's got to be some kind of explanation. I don't know what the explanation is, but I'm assuming it has something to do with like marketing, or there's got to be something that goes on for it. I know some people actually buy fake followers. Like they have places where you go and you buy fake followers. But the thing is, like everybody knows they're fake. Like all you have to do is look through them for 2 seconds and you go, oh, that's fake, that's fake, that's fake. Or you could do the Twitter audit and learn that it's fake. Like there's some people who have like 50% fake rate, or like if your shit is under, I don't know the exact number, but if you have like 70%, like around that number, like once you get into the only 68% of your followers are real, like then it's red flag. Like, okay, you might be buying followers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, they do that shit on Instagram also. It's just like, I mean, I've never done it. I don't know if like high school kids do it, but it's just like buy 1,000 followers, just so people think you're cool as fuck.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point? It's so much more. Like if you just rock your 100 followers with pride, it's like that's so much better than buying fucking 3,000 fake ones.
I guess so, yeah. Although I look at some people's page and it's just like 4 followers and they're trying to post like a nice photo, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
maybe you should buy the 1,000 follower app.
No, I do feel bad, but like at least that person's not fucking pretending that.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one, because I'm like, you're trying super hard with a nice ass photo and you're only getting 2 likes on it. Something's not computing. Whereas though, if they bought the app and had like 1,200 followers and still posted a dope photo and only got 2 likes, I would feel worse then,
Yeah, remember MySpace back in the day? How?
Oh hell yeah!
Like people, out of nowhere, people would have like thousands of whatever it's called on MySpace, friends, followers, whatever. And I always wondered, like, where the fuck are they? Where are they getting them from? Like, it would be people you and I might know, and then you look at their page, it's like thousands of whatevers, and I'm like, that's not possible. How's that possible?
Like a dude who spoke to no one in the hallway and shit has like all these hundreds of followers. You're like, that motherfucker he's got 400
I got
already?
like 8. I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
This is not right. Son, let's so I got a bunch of things I want to talk about. We haven't done one of these in a while. So first of all, Matt Barnes. For everybody who doesn't know who Matt Barnes is he still with the Clippers or no?
No, he's on Memphis now.
He's on Memphis, and when did that happen?
I think this offseason, I think he got traded to Well, he got traded to he was in a trade to the Charlotte Hornets, and then I think they bought him out or something like that, and I think the Grizzlies picked him up.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I think it happened this summer. He was in like Hornets got like Jeremy Lin. They got a whole bunch of dudes, and Barnes was one of them. And they just bought him out because they were like, we don't want to deal with this fucking nutcase.
Yeah, there were a lot of trades that I'm like unaware of at this point. Like I feel like as soon as the regular season starts and I start watching NBA like crazy again, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, he's on that team. Oh my god, he's on that team.
Yep, and especially like dudes are getting to the point of their dudes that we liked are getting into the point of their career where they're sort of like just now, and that like they're trying. There's a team out there that's like, all right, I'll give him a shot. Can't think of a player, but like a Matt Barnes type of dude that like you'll turn on the TV and it'll be like, oh shit, he's playing with Milwaukee now.
Yeah, and it's like he's just at the end of his career, whether or not he wants to acknowledge it.
Yeah, but he was a guy who was a staple on
right.
like you know him for that team.
Yeah, like Shane Battier, who's been playing since 1972.
Yeah, he'll randomly be on like Detroit. And you're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. So Matt Barnes is a crazy motherfucker. Obviously, basketball players, you could tell if you don't know from me and Corin talking now. And I don't know all the details of the story, Cor, because I only read the headlines, but I think the headlines is enough to warrant us fucking running our mouths about it.
Yep.
This fucking clown of all clowns drove 95 miles to get to Derek Fisher because Derek Fisher is dating his ex-wife.
Yeah.
And he wanted. Yeah. I didn't see what happened. I don't know if he tried to beat the shit out of him and he got arrested, or if he did beat the shit out of him. I have no idea about the details of it. But just based on that, what a little punk bitch.
Yep.
Who does that? Who does that? Who does that?
Yep. It's sad. Like there's so many underlining storylines to this little story that like So they asked Matt Barnes, did you drive 95 miles? And he's like, no way. Like, I live 15 minutes from my ex-wife, and, I was FaceTiming my son, and he said, mom's friend Derek is at the house, and he seemed scared. So I went over there to check on him and ended up beating the shit out of Derek Fisher, which is just like,
I
yeah,
don't
okay.
believe that story for a second.
Yeah. So, like, one, just Matt Barnes, like, rap sheet going back is just all
Oh
bad.
yeah,
Like,
he's got a history of just being a loose fucking cannon.
yep. So, like, anything he says, you're automatically just like, okay, no, you're lying, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
But the fact that, like, nobody comes up with a random headline, and the headline is everywhere that you drove 95 miles to get to a house if that shit wasn't partially true,
Oh,
Like,
I
maybe you
have
drove
zero
65
doubt.
miles or some shit like that.
I have zero doubt. But like, okay, so Matt Barnes is a punk bitch, and he's a grown ass man. I can't believe he's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But on some level, I do feel bad for him because it's like, how fucking tortured does that guy have to be in his own head? Where like, he even to even consider that,
Yeah.
is fucked up. To
Mhm.
actually carry that shit out, it's like, no, you're mentally off, dude. Like there's something missing, and you're basically the most insecure person ever. If it's your ex-wife, you have zero say in anything she does about
Exactly.
anything.
And that's a whole nother case that I read an article just recently that was just like reporting has gone so off the wall that like the story has become, Barnes driving to the house to beat up Fisher. Like no one's talking about the fact that like he's still controlling this girl. Her name's Gloria. He's still controlling her life, like who the fuck is he to drive over there and say you can't like regardless of if Derek Fisher was, an ex-teammate of his, regardless of if there's a basketball code where guys can't date each other's girlfriends,
Right.
he's got no like you said, he's got no right to be involved in anything she's fucking doing now if they're divorced.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I
what
mean,
if he's just a child? Like I read the story and I was like, yeah, that is something Matt Barnes would do. That's the first thing. Like, of course, that's something he would do because he's one of those guys who like he'll start shit with somebody on the court, and then when the person fights back, he's like, "Oh, what are you doing? Why you?
yeah,
Why
he'll
you
throw
starting
his
shit?"
hands up like, well, I'm not doing anything. I'm not that like.
Yeah, he's like he's like a grimy dude. If you're gonna start some shit, at least be like, yeah, I fucking started some shit. Like
Yeah.
back in the day when it was Ron Artest, not Meta World Peace.
Yeah.
Like, he'd do some shit and he'd be like, yeah, I fucking did it.
Yep.
Matt
like,
Barnes
what are you
will
gonna
some
do
shit
about it?
and then play like the old school WWF wrestler who like hits you with a chair, and then the person turns around and then they drop the chair and they're like, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, don't hit me.
But what do you say to Fisher? I mean, do you think there's some like unwritten rule like you can't maybe date his girlfriend if you were on the Lakers together and type shit?
It depends how close they are. So like if they're as close as if they were as close as me and you are, then yeah, that's grimy as fuck. Like I would never every ex-girlfriend of yours, I would never go near because
Yeah.
you're my boy and we're basically best friends. If you're best friends with somebody, then yeah, don't do it. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
But if it's like acquaintances, or if it's like we don't even really like each other but we're on the same team, or even if it's like kind of friends but not really friends, like, and it's distant enough, then yeah, it's fine and back the fuck off.
It's such a tough one because like Jalen Rose was on TV talking about it and he was just like, it's messed up. Like he can't go over there and just beat him up like that. But if that's my teammate and we were boys on the Lakers, I'm fighting him too.
Nah, Jalen's crazy. Nah, you got to remember, like, we're grown ass men now.
Yeah.
Like
that's
it's one thing when
another
you're in
thing,
high
too.
school. It's one thing even when you're in college. But
Exactly.
Jalen, they're grown ass men. Like you don't. That's it. You don't solve problems anymore by starting altercations. And even like verbal altercations. Like if he were to just assume he had no intent to fucking fight, but he just showed up to like scold or yell at Derek Fisher or his ex-wife, you're still a prick.
Yeah.
Like
and
that's
you're still
you're not
insecure and like you can't do that.
and that's the thing too is like it projects the exact opposite message of the one that he wants to project. The message he wants to project is, I'm Matt Barnes, I'm a fucking
the
tough
alpha
guy,
male.
don't fuck
Yeah.
with me, this and that. But the message you're really projecting to the world is, look at me, I'm an insecure little child. I can't I don't have meaning, I don't have self-worth, I don't value my time or myself. So now I'm going to waste time to try to fuck up something else that my ex-wife has going on because I don't want them to be happy. Like,
That's so true.
God forbid they're happy. Well, I'm fucking miserable, so I'm gonna try to drag them down and pretend like it's all about me being macho.
And ultimately for her too, it's like, there's plenty of guys out there. So like, why is she dating Derek Fisher? Because maybe one, she knows you're gonna get mad about it, and react the way you do. Because yeah, he's a former teammate, and maybe you guys were friends, but you're giving her the reaction that she wants out of you. Whereas if you're just like, oh yeah, date him, that's cool, whatever. I don't give a shit. I'm still banging hot girls. I'm Matt Barnes. I'm an NBA player.
Yeah.
Then like, ultimately, if you want her back or whatever, she's gonna want you even more.
Yeah, if he wanted to get a reaction out of her, the best way to do it would have just been like, yeah, whatever, do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Like, she would have been like, hey, Matt, don't you see Derek's at our house?
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, cool. Yeah,
But I mean,
how are our kids?
I don't know her character, but
No, so she was on a TV show, Basketball Wives, and she's about the attention and all that stuff.
Oh, she was on one of those shows?
Yep.
Oh, fuck her.
Yep.
Fuck, you just told me the one thing that would make me have a little bit of sympathy for Matt Barnes.
Yeah, she was on the show, and she was like one of those girls, they talking this and that, all like, starting fights with other basketball wives, being a typical basketball wife.
Like, those kinds of shows, man, like, I'm getting to the point, I have like a seething hatred for shows like that. Like,
That's every show now.
Reality shows and like Real Housewives of fucking whatever. It's like, all of them want to be famous, but they don't want to do anything to be famous.
Yeah.
They just want you to
that's what we're
love them
becoming as a fucking country.
They want you to love them for just like being materialistic pricks. Like all they want to do is buy shit and like get into stupid arguments with each other, and then they want you to love them and be like, "Oh my God, I'm a celebrity. Why don't you love me?" Like, you're not doing anything to earn anybody's fucking love.
Exactly.
Like you're not fucking Kobe Bryant. Like, you're not an amazing sports star. You're not an amazing director or actor. You're a fucking materialistic prick.
Dude, there was a show. It was called. I hate that all these shows are on TLC, the fucking Learning Channel.
I know, man. It's so stupid.
It's so sad.
They got to change that name. They have to change the name.
It should just be the channel or something. Like, take learning out of this shit.
Anything but the learning. Honey fucking Boo Boo was on the Learning Channel.
Yep.
That's
I know.
lunacy.
I know. And so there's a show. It's called like My 600-Pound Fabulous Life or some shit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, the girl's like 600 pounds, and she's got a great personality or whatever. I've watched it a couple times, sadly. But, like, I don't know why people are drawn to it. Like, maybe because they just want to see a 600-pound person, like, do shit?
Yeah. I don't know, man. There's, some people back in the day when reality TV started, they were making these arguments that, were basically along the lines of people want to see other people who they'll look down on and make themselves feel better about themselves. I don't know if that's true, but I feel if it is true, that's super sad.
Yeah, yep.
Like, if that's really the purpose, if that's why people are watching all these different shows that are like that, it's like, oh man, why would you not instead of making yourself feel better by like looking down on people, why not like you go out and do some shit that makes you feel like actually be a better
help
person.
Somebody. Yeah.
Like, go to the gym, start like a routine like that, or whatever. Take a class in fucking oil painting. I don't know. Just anything else. Do they even do classes in oil painting?
Probably not. That'd be the most boring shit ever.
I know.
But like the Learning Channel, if they wanted to keep it 100, they would contact like you and be like, "Hey, like you have to have a TV show, like whether for however long it is."
The worst show ever.
No, but I mean, like, you keep it real. Like, you're actually informative, and instead of like just someone 600 pounds learning how to take fucking like hip hop classes.
Yeah, but the thing, I mean, look, when thank you for saying what you're saying, but I feel like when I'm on air, that's the part where, I think anybody who watches it who's even remotely interested in politics or like the world, I think they'll like it. So like that, but yeah, that part is great. But like when I'm not on air, literally all I do is read shit so that when I'm on air, I can talk about the shit. And then when I'm not doing that, I'm either showering or beating off. Like, that's my life. Like, that's
just
it.
Put a Truman Show camera on you on the Learning Channel.
Imagine like they cut like they see me read and they're like, "This is him reading," and then they cut to scenes in the dark and I'm like, it's censored and I'm beating off. They're like, "This is a nightly routine."
But that would get the highest ratings.
The only interesting part of the show, if they were to do it, would be the show. Like, would be the part when I'm on the air saying
Yeah.
shit. Everything
Yeah.
else is like,
Just
and
like-
here he is in his natural habitat, farting.
His laundry is building up.
All right, so moving on from Matt Barnes here, I got to go to another crazy motherfucker. I just heard about this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, I vaguely heard of this.
He was arrested for being drunk in public.
Out in
And-
Texas or something, right?
I think in
Yeah.
Houston. And so I was reading the article on it, and they were saying that he also was arrested last year in New York City for like disrupting a cabaret show or some shit.
Yeah, that one was when he got like escorted out by the cops and was like chasing a homeless man or some shit like that.
I didn't hear that part of the story.
You didn't?
But
You didn't hear that?
no, but that's fucking hilarious. And I saw
gotta
a
look
picture
into
of
that
him, and he
story,
looked like
man.
he was fucked up on all kinds of shit.
He was off his rocker when I don't know about the Texas one, but in New York he was out of his mind.
No, like his I saw a picture of him when he was like in cuffs at that time. And
Yeah.
like his face, he just looks like he's on another fucking planet. Like his
Oh.
face, his eyes, his look, he just looks like he's so lost.
Dude, he was on so much drugs. He was like hallucinating in the Broadway show. They had to kick him out.
Yeah, so that leads to my serious point on this, which is like whether it's Shia LaBeouf or Amanda Bynes.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Like what's happening? Like what is it about people who are child stars
Yeah.
that they grow older? I don't know the percentage, and obviously plenty of them are fine, but like there's a significant chunk that they just lose their shit, and I can't figure out what it is. Like I got to be honest, the first theory that popped to my mind when when reading the Shia story
Mhm.
was when he was younger, he was on Even Stevens, and he
Yeah, that was
played
my
like the
shit.
fucking goody two shoes nerdy kid.
Uh-huh.
Like, is it like he's trying to shake that persona and become the bad boy, and he's just going way too far with that? I mean, same with Amanda Bynes. She was like the happy-go-lucky, smiling girl
Yep.
on all that, and then on the Amanda show, and like her whole thing was like, oh, innocence and all that stuff. And
Wasn't
then
Miley Cyrus was on Disney too or some
oh,
shit,
that's
right?
such a good point too. Yeah, Miley Cyrus
She was
was
like the
Hannah
pretty-
Montana, super
Yeah.
good girl. I think I told you the story. I remember one time a family member at like a family gathering, like a distant family member,
Mhm.
was having a conversation about Miley. This was back when she was still Hannah Montana, and said
Mhm.
something along the lines of like, "Yep, she's one of the good girls raised with good conservative Christian values, so that's why she's able to keep her stuff together, unlike Britney Spears and people like that or whatever."
Oh.
And at the time, I remember I heard that and I was like, interesting theory. And then like however many years later, you see her like fucking putting
you
her
ever see
asshole
that
on
guy
people's
again,
foreheads
yeah.
on national TV, just all types of shit. But
Yeah.
like, so is that what it is though? Do you think is that theory right? You think that they played the good person, the
It's
innocent?
got to be something with them starting as young teens, because like I'm looking at like Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and stuff like that, and like they're all normal guys now, and they never started too young. They started at like their middle teens, so at least they had that childhood age where they
Oh,
can
that's
grow up.
interesting. So you're saying, so if they start like when they're super young,
Mhm.
that they're fucksville.
Yeah,
But if
because their
they
parents are probably like, I mean, their parents are the ones like it has to be something going on where they're controlling them to do this shit.
Yeah, like
Like
I
you hear
feel-
Amanda Bynes was saying like her father was like raping her or molesting her or something.
Yeah, was any of that true? I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, that would be a pretty fucked up accusation to like, and she was pretty adamant about that shit.
Yeah, but I mean, she also,
She also saw
Yeah.
like demons and shit.
yeah, so who the fuck knows? But like, I feel like looking at Shia now, it looks like he's looking for meaning, but he just can't fucking find it. You know what I mean? Like he's
Yeah.
losing his shit in public, and he's trying to find something to like care about, but
Mhm.
he's off the fucking rails. Like he doesn't care about shit, and he's just going fucking nuts.
Yeah.
And I feel like I want to make a fucked up prediction now. Like I feel like it's something bad's gonna happen with him.
Well, I mean, you would hope not, I guess. I mean, like that shit happened with Justin Bieber where he sort of hit the high point where you're like something's going to happen with him. He's going to drunk drive and like maybe like kill himself or some shit. But then like he's sort of turning out normal now cuz he had that stage where he wilded out. But Shia LaBeouf seems like he's trying to be normal, but then is still crazy at the same time, where it's like a different like recovery phase. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotta say, man, I'm not sure. I mean, I feel like with him, with Shia, something bad's gonna happen. Like something stuff bad has already happened as we've laid out.
Yeah.
But like I feel like I don't know. I just see
Oh,
the look in his face, the way he's acting. It just
yeah.
seems to me like he's off the rails, and nobody's there to really kind of ground him. Like number one, it'd be hard for anybody to ground him at this point. Like bring him back to earth. But
That's what's weird. Is like where the fuck like I mean like that's where your parents sort of come into play. Like where are his parents or where's anybody,
no,
you
I
know?
feel like they're probably the last ones who would even. I feel like they in his mind they might be part of the problem here. Like they
That's
were.
true.
Like they were. I guess they. I don't know the story, so I shouldn't really talk about it. But were they there all along with even Stevens and all that stuff?
I don't
Eh,
know. I have no idea, but
Yeah, I
you're
don't
right.
either. But I
That
feel
could be
like
you could probably see them as a cause for his going crazy and shit too.
he needs somebody who's a friend, who he trusts, who he likes to kind of bring him back to earth. But like I said, even that's hard because when somebody's
He
in a
probably
state
can't
like
trust
that,
anybody.
when somebody's in a state like that, you say something slightly off in their mind, and you're done. Like you're out of their, their mental space. They
Yeah.
can lose their love for you pretty quickly. I don't know. I just feel like something bad's gonna happen with that dude, man.
I think like yeah, I probably will, but I think it is like growing up as a kid and just having that other interaction with kids and shit like molds you a little bit, you know? Like look at Michael Jackson, never had a childhood and he just wanted to play with little kids his whole fucking life, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, man, that you say that. There's like a growth period there when you're really young where your life can be affected big time. Like you don't even realize that it's a very informative part of your life and a part of your life that just shapes so much. But it happens when you're like a
That's
young
fucking
kid.
that's deep as shit. That was mad deep. Like you don't yeah, you don't realize like you can't speak, you can't, you
Yeah,
can't communicate with anybody, you can't do anything really. You're just moving around. But those are the most like you're picking up the most important information of your life there.
yeah, and you want to know what's funny? Like when you bring race into this conversation, it actually gets super interesting because they're like people in the South who are in like white Republican areas and are like kind of separated from black people, and
Hmm.
they're very insular in their community and stuff. If they only see other white people in like those informative those very young years of their life where
Yeah.
like their mind is molded, then once they hit an age, like once they're through that phase and then they're out in the real world and then they see a black person, they're like stunned. They're like,
Yeah.
wait, what? Like that? Like I didn't know you can come in that color. I didn't know that
Yeah.
people look like that. And then those are the people who usually harness feelings of racism and xenophobia, because like in the most informative, important parts of their years, I don't know if informative is the right word, but I keep using it. Like in those years, they just didn't. They weren't.
They weren't
They didn't
taught it
see
or they
it.
weren't open
Now,
to yeah.
contrast that with like my niece and nephew, where where they go to like whatever it is, daycare or pre-K or whatever. There's kids of all different races and backgrounds and stuff, and like every single show on TV now has black people, Asian people, white people. Like you go down a list, it's all there.
Mhm.
They don't like to them. They almost don't even really see race. Like my brother-in-law told me that his son, so my nephew,
Mhm.
when he asked like, "Oh, what's your friend whatever like?" He's a black kid, but my nephew was like, "Oh, he's short." Like
Yeah,
he
doesn't
described
even
him
see
first
color.
as short before he would say he's black because he was so used to seeing people of all different races and backgrounds and looks that didn't register as like a difference. He's just like, "Oh,
Mhm.
that's a person," and the easiest way for me to describe it, the person is short.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, no, it's fast. I mean, like they know nothing. Like you don't come out like of the womb racist, you know?
Yeah.
You have to be taught things. And so like my nephew, I remember when he was super young, we were at like a barbecue place or something, and somebody came in with a wheelchair and he was like smiling like, "Oh, like look, like they're in a chair or something." I was like, "No, like some people are, like handicapped where they
Right.
can't walk." Like he had no idea this was so like you have to tell them or
Yeah.
like now my stepbrother is like he's a huge Giants fan and his wife is a Jets fan and you know, like the Giants are playing, and she'll be like, "Go Jets, go Jets," and he's like, "No, chill, like you can't, no, like we we want to bring this baby up a Giants fan." So like you're putting in their brain like that they're gonna be a Giants fan because they know nothing else.
Yeah.
So if you have a child actor kid who you're just putting them in front of directors and like telling them, "Hey, move this way, move that way," like you're turning him into a fucking robot.
Yeah, they say that like a lot of actors, like really, really great actors, that when you meet them in person, they have zero personality.
Yeah.
And it's like it's because they're so good at taking over the persona of somebody else that they're playing
Mm-hmm.
that they never had time for their own personality to really develop in any serious way where they have like their own super strong identity and ways of speaking and thinking and stuff. So they just
Yeah.
fully embody. Like think of somebody like you know Leonardo DiCaprio, like just a great actor, but if you,
What's his identity? Yeah, I mean, no,
yeah
it's a good
exactly.
point.
Who are you? You're
Yeah.
everybody you've played in the movies. You're like, have you had time to
You're a psychopath, or you're a comedian, or you're a
right?
a
And you're
fucking
so good
lunatic.
at that
Yeah.
that you know you. It's hard when you're not in character. You're just like a fucking mold of clay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird stuff, man.
Well, that's like when Colbert came on the air. You know, he played that role of
Yeah.
like the conservative for so long
Yep.
that when he started, people were like, "Who actually is he?" You know,
Yeah.
like,
No, I remember saying the same thing. Like, I don't know what he's gonna be like because I've never seen him as himself.
mm-hmm.
So,
So,
you
I
mentioned
mean-
you mentioned Justin Bieber before. I don't know
Yeah.
if did you see the story that his dick is on the internet now?
Is it?
Yeah, you didn't hear about this?
No, I didn't.
All right, now I'll
I've
tell
heard
my
about
embarrassing
LeBron's.
story.
I've heard about everybody else's, but not Bieber's.
So I like my Twitter feed was blowing up with that shit, and no, I'm not following like celebrity accounts or like literally like fairly mainstream news
Oh,
like,
yeah, I
sites.
told you I've been out of the loop. and-
would tweet it, and so I saw the link, I clicked it,
Mhm.
and then that led me to a page where you had to click another link in order to get there. I clicked
Oh.
that link too.
Definitely
then-
some viruses going on between those double links there.
No, but after I did the second click, so then I saw the picture, and then
Oh,
I was
okay.
like, oh wait. Number one, it looks like he didn't want this released, so that's kind of
Oh,
fucked
really?
up. And then number two, if I had to click one more link and it was like a third link, that's super creepy of me to click that link. Like 2 was the limit. We're like, okay, I'm just following to get to the thing. But like once you hit 3, by the third click, you got to stop and like think about what you're doing here.
That's
Like,
true.
I'm going to see the dick of a celebrity. Like, why am I doing this?
But you've committed that far that it's sort of like you got to keep clicking until like. But if you got past 3 and then they hit you with a fourth,
Yeah.
then you sort of just got to be like, yeah, I'm clicking it regardless of like how many more clicks I got to get to. You know, like
I wasn't proud, man. Like when I saw it and I realized, oh no, he didn't like want this out there. I was like,
Wait,
oh, I
so
felt
what was
I
the
felt bad.
situation? Like what? Like how?
I don't know.
what
I guess
took
paparazzi
it?
were being paparazzi and being like pricks, they're just spying on him and shit. And he was
Did they catch him in a hotel room or something?
yeah,
Or,
I
like-
think so. He was like getting into a hot tub or something
Oh,
on
really?
vacation with some woman. And but then there's also this little part of the conversation though too.
Little part.
No, it's actually a big part.
No.
It wasn't bad, and then I realized, oh wait, since it's not bad, like he's gotta. I know this is fucked up to say, and nobody else is gonna say this, but he's gotta not feel as bad about it as he could feel, like, because they didn't catch him at a bad time.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
no,
like,
I-
if that happened to me, let's say nobody gives a shit about my dick, but if that happened to me, and like I was looking on point. I'd be like, okay, I'm so mad that you got my picture and put it on the internet. But if my shit is all right, then I'll be like,
Yeah, good job.
it is what it
paparazzi.
is. But like, if they catch me at a bad time, from a bad angle, and I'm getting out of some cold water in fucking Alaska, and then they take the picture, then my tune would change.
But for him, and like, if you were at a point where someone was trying to snap pictures of your dong, like you're probably getting enough girls regardless of they don't even care what your size is. Like,
Dude, his dad tweeted some shit about it.
oh,
It was so creepy. His dad said some shit like, "Proud daddy."
oh no.
It was the creepiest thing ever, man.
Oh,
Why do you
no.
say that about your son? And then you people wonder, like, why is Bieber a little fucked up? Look at his dad. His
Yeah,
fucking
that's
dad
weird.
wants to be him and fucking throws him out there in front of everybody.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. So I
But
was.
that happened to LeBron James when, remember, he was putting the baby powder on his thing
Oh
like
yeah,
before
yeah.
the
That
NBA
wasn't.
game.
Bieber's was much more like. They got a normal ass picture of Bieber shit.
Oh,
LeBron's, you
really?
saw it for like a split second.
Yeah, the LeBrons, if you slow it down, like they sort of caught him at a bad time. So like it was like, oh, LeBron.
Yeah, he's and I mean I feel bad even talking about it because he didn't want that shit to be seen, but like
Yeah,
his shit was
that's
all
crazy when you gotta like be at a
powdered.
point where you gotta worry about paparazzis trying to snap pictures of your fucking dick.
Yeah, no, that it's not. I honestly I can't imagine what guys like that deal with, and just celebrities like that deal
Well,
with. It's
fuck
probably
them.
even
They like
worse.
they want that life, and then they get that life, and they're like, I want to be a normal person. Like, no, that's the life you gotta live. That you're a movie star. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Joe Rogan speaks about this. How there's like a sweet spot of how known you are. Like you
Yeah.
never want to get to the Michael Jackson, Michael Jordan, Justin Bieber level because then literally everywhere you go, everybody knows you.
Hmm.
And you can't be grounded anymore because people treat you like a demigod. So
Yeah.
like you're not going to be normal no matter how hard you fucking try. But if you're somebody of his level of fame like Joe Rogan, who he hosted Fear Factor, which was a very popular show. He was on a sitcom or two. He's a stand-up comedian. He's a UFC host. Like he's in the public spotlight, but to a much lower degree and in specific areas. Like he's the level of fame where he says, I'm just a little bit too much. That's what he says. Like
Yeah.
I'm a little bit too big, but if I could reel it back in a little bit, then that's the sweet spot where like every once in a while somebody comes up to you and says, "Oh, hey man, I like the thing you were in with the thing." And you're like, "Oh, wow, thanks, appreciate it." But like that doesn't
Yeah.
happen all the time, and it's not like you're out to dinner with your family and somebody
Yeah, he can go
interrupts.
grab a burger or some shit like with a hat on and be sort of chilling. Like
Yeah.
so, so yeah, someone will recognize him. But there was that guy. Remember the guy like Dax? I don't know his last name, Dax, but he's got
Yeah,
like
yeah,
blonde
I remember
hair.
him.
So he's like a nobody also, but he's made some movies.
Mhm.
And like he started some whole thing with his wife where like the paparazzi took a picture of his child and like he started a whole movement. And I was just like, relax, dude. Like, yeah, I'd be tight as shit too if someone's like in my bushes taking pictures and stuff. But like that's the life that you fucking asked for, Like
Yeah, there's a
you want to
balance
be a
there. I
regular
think you're
person, you want
right.
to go to a 9 to 5 and
Yeah, yeah. No, I think you're 100% right. I think there's a balance there. Like, it's one thing. Like, yes. Are there examples of the paparazzi going too far? Absolutely, no doubt about it. They should show more restraint at certain times.
Mhm.
But is it reasonable to say, well, they should be abolished, and how dare you in any way come near me when I'm a celebrity and everybody knows me? Like, no, then you're going too far in the other direction. There's
Yeah.
like a happy medium there, and it's true that sometimes celebrities will be oh my god, fuck the paparazzi, and it's like, no,
But then
like
it's
you
like they
said,
need
okay, go
something
get a
done
nine
and
to
they
five,
fucking
bitch.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah, see how many, go work in a fucking coal mine and come out and tell me you'll fucking run into the paparazzi's arms. Are you kidding me?
Yep. Or once they disappear, it's like, wait, don't you want to be hiding in my bushes? I had a new baby. And it's like, no, we can't fucking do that shit now, motherfucker. Where were you like when we were trying to take the picture?
Yeah. All right. So now, did you see that thing? So models, I couldn't believe this when I saw it. It honestly looked like a prank or something.
Hmm.
There was some fashion show, some like legit fashion show, as far as I know, where models were wearing other models in like a 69 position.
What the fuck?
No, I kid you not, man. The pictures are ridiculous. Like, so model would be walking out, and there's like a fucking another model like velcroed upside down to their chest. We're like,
That's absurd.
no, and it looks ridiculous. And then, like when I saw that, I honestly, I'm already partly like a curmudgeonly old grandpa, but I went
Mhm.
full curmudgeonly grandpa on that, where I think it's reasonable for people to take away from something like that the entire fashion industry, it's all bullshit.
Oh,
Like
100%.
I hear people like when people say no, there are things that are objective about what looks attractive and what should be in season and out of season, and certain colors mixed with certain seasons better, and like symmetry is something very important for attraction. You go down a list of things that are, no, this looks better and that looks worse. You go down a whole fucking list of it for sure.
Mhm.
But when you get to that point where you're fucking wearing other people in the 69 position and you think you're really making a fucking fashion statement, no, then people are right to say, like they say about modern art when the guy like drew a fucking can of Campbell's tomato soup and
Yeah.
said it's his art, or put a blank fucking palette and said this is art. It's like, no, you're a prick. That's not
Blank
art.
palette.
You want to not work for shit and pretend like you just don't understand my brilliance. I'm like a tortured genius. No, you're a fucking idiot and a loser, and you're trying to get attention by doing the most outrageous shit.
That's what it comes down to. It's yeah, I agree with you 100% that the fucking modeling industry and fashion industry is a complete joke. Because you look at Kanye West, he's got his new clothing line or whatever the hell it is, and
Yeah.
it's like all oversized, just baggy, ripped shit. And someone did like one of those memes, and it was a New York City homeless person dressed in like, it was like a brown shawl that was just ripped and whatever, and it was like homeless person New York City, and then you have like the Kanye West actual model wearing the shit, and it was like, this outfit is $3,500, and it looked identical.
Wow. No, but see, that's the thing is like, I know people, and you do too. Isn't your fiance in one way or another involved in the fashion industry? Like, what?
No, well, she used to work. Yeah, she used to work in like a retail store.
Like, what percentage of the fashion industry can you really say like, no? Okay, if you pay more for that, you're actually paying more like to get quality. Like, it's made with better material. It's like, there's some real shit out there. But like, what percentage of the fashion industry is just complete and utter snob effect where like, the idea is I'm going to charge you more because you'll pay more and you're getting the same fucking shit as somebody who's paying like 1/10 the price that you're paying.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what it comes down to.
it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it though, like how much of it is legit and there's a real conversation to be had there. Because look, I don't want to, like, I'm one of those guys where I understand and I know that there's a lot more nuance to shit sometimes than I see. Like, if somebody, like, there are people who can, like, I like golf, so sometimes people will tweet me shit about golf. That honestly, it's just like the most uneducated, simplistic opinion ever of like, it's stupid, hit ball in the hole, it's dumb, blah, 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 blah. And like, I see that, and then I think in my mind everything that I know about golf and everything I've learned over the years, and there's so many different ins and outs to it that they're unaware of and they're not even interested in learning, that it just makes them look like an ignorant prick when I know how much actually goes into like making a good golf swing and the different positions.
So
and
you're
how,
sort of swaying me the other way now, I guess, a little bit.
See, but that's what I'm trying to explain how I'm trying to get at the heart of the issue here, which is what percentage of it is bullshit. Like, the Model 69ing is bullshit, and what percentage of it is legit. Like, so with golf, just to continue with that analogy real fast, like, if you show me a video of a golf swing, I've been following golf long enough, and I know enough ins and outs of it where I can break down a golf swing and tell you, how good of a swing it is. I can tell you about what the person's handicap is or whatever, just by you showing me the golf swing. I can tell you the difference between, okay, at the top of the swing, from a position of down the line, is the club laid off or is it across the line? Are they taking it inside on the way back or are they taking it outside on the way back? How do you hit a slice, which is a ball going left to right? How do you hit a draw or a hook, which is the ball going right to left? I can give you so much detail about it, and if I take you to hit golf balls 3 times, you'll catch the bug and you'll want to keep playing golf. So there's a lot more to it than, the outside observer would think. And I'm struggling with, because again, I don't want to be like a closed-minded prick, I'm struggling with what percentage of that in the fashion industry is bullshit and what percentage of it is, no, there's really something here, and this person who's a good designer is really a good designer, and they're a good designer for, a plethora of reasons that make sense to people who know the fashion industry, but me and you might not know yet.
That's a awesome fucking analogy right there. I never looked at it like that.
Yeah,
I would think, I would still just look at fashion as like your opinion, whereas golf, you can obviously see, you got to put the ball in the hole is just a very broad, easy concept to understand. But if you can't do it, then, there's technical reasons to why.
Right. Okay.
Whereas with fashion, it's still just like, okay, her shirt is baggy. I think that looks ugly as shit, regardless of if there's extra cotton in there, extra thread in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's no There's no skill to it.
So what
There's
about
nothing
like
to.
tapered suits, for example, like suits that are like fit you nicely? Like I'm sure you've gotten fit for a suit when you had to
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to a
yeah.
wedding or some shit. I have too. And there's no doubt that like beforehand and after, like okay, you just tailor fit this perfectly. What did you do to tailor fit this perfectly? And are there certain designers that make things fit you a certain way that accentuates better parts? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
there
yeah.
might be something to it in some cases. I mean, I hate to default to like my stupid fallback answer here, which is, would you say it's like 50-50? Like half of what happens in the fashion industry makes sense, the other half is just ridiculous nonsense, or would you say it's more like
I think it's.
70% nonsense, 30% real shit?
I think it's hot. Yeah, I think it's. It's. I don't think it's 50-50. Like Kanye West is my standard,
Well,
and
Kanye's ridiculous.
the fact that like he gets invited to these top tier fashion shows and all this shit, and is recognized as like a fashion guru, is just like a joke to me because I see the shit he wears, and I could. So there are good arguments to it, like a tapered suit, which is reason why it's not 100-0 in the
Right,
fashion
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
But then I see Kanye West wearing some shit that looks exactly like sweatpants where I wear, and a baggy white t-shirt at a professional fashion shoot, and I'm like, come on, like that, like it's just, I don't, like
$8,000 he's charging for it.
yeah, $8,000 or something. But that brings me to my point. Did you see this article recently that Whole Foods like was getting in trouble because they were just making up prices for their items in their supermarket?
No, I didn't see that.
So Whole Foods, yeah, is just like a higher end
Right, yeah,
supermarket,
yeah.
and they had asparagus water, and what it was just a plastic bottle with water in it, and they put 3 asparagus in it, just like long asparagus, and they were charging $8 for it. People were buying it, and then it came out an article that was just like Whole Foods like apologizes because basically it was just fucking water with asparagus in it.
Oh, that's fucking hilarious.
And people were buying it because they saw asparagus in a water bottle, and it was $8, and they were just like,
Yeah,
I'm in
that's
a
the snob
fancy
effect.
supermarket. I must buy it because it's gotta be
Yeah,
cool.
that's the snob effect, man. The idea of like, oh, this is different, and like people say it represents higher class and health food, and so I must get it because whatever. Like that's
They did that theory on there was a TV show. It was like one of those magic shows or something, and they were just testing people. He had 2 cakes out. They were the exact same cakes. One had a price tag that said $79 or some shit, and one had like $29. And he gave them to both people, and they were like, he was like, which one is better, And he'd give them the first one, the $29 one. They would be like, yeah, it's a little, I don't know, a little bland. Then give them the same exact cake that had the $79 tag on it, and they were just like, it's creamier. It just has that. It just tastes better. And
yep. Penn and Teller did that with water, where they did like designer water or whatever they called it, and like they would tell people, well, this one is from the Himalayas, from blessed by a Buddhist monk or whatever, and they just go through the different ones, and people would, you're right, they come up with shit like, well, this one tastes more like crisp, I'd call it crisp. It's probably, yeah, it's more crisp, and this other one here, I don't know. I mean, it feels. It's a little more buttery. It's on the buttery side. Like, they would just say shit. And people... And then at the end, they'd be like, literally all of these were from a fucking garden hose.
oh,
You'd have to feel so stupid if you get called out on one of those things.
yeah, and you're just like, oh, wow. You couldn't, like, you have nothing to say.
Yeah.
But can you blame some? I mean, what is that? Is that something that you're like?
Yeah, I see. That's the thing is, it's either the people are just flat out lying, or there's a very powerful thing that goes on in our own mind where it's like, you go into like rationalization mode, or you go into like some sort of mode where you're trying really hard to read something into the taste of something, or you just read something into what you're doing, and your mind comes up with answers, and you're not lying, but since something is there and you're convinced something is there, you're looking for it to be there, so you're more inclined to see it. Kind of like the placebo effect. Like,
Yeah.
the placebo effect is real as fuck. Like, there are some people who, you get sick or not, it's psychological or whatever, and then you go to the doctor, and the doctor will literally give you sugar pills and tell you, well, these are pills that do X, Y, and Z, and then you take one of the pills and you're like, I feel better. I feel better. Henry's dad told me that back in the day, that he didn't do it, but his father-in-law did it. His father-in-law is also a doctor. Where back in the day, somebody would be like depressed or something, and they'd go to the doctor and explain all the symptoms, and oh, my back hurts, oh, this hurts, oh, that hurts, and then the doctor would realize, like, okay, this person is just like depressed, pissed at life, wants to hit the reset button, whatever. So what they do is they'd go get niacin, which is, I don't know if it's like a vitamin or something like that. It's harmless, but what happens is if you inject it into somebody, they get like a feeling of like a tingling sensation, like a minute after it's injected into you, and then the sensation goes away, and then there's nothing else happens. So what they do is they would say, "Oh, I have just the medicine for you. I know exactly what your problem is. Let me come back in here with the medicine. We'll fix you real quick." And then they'd inject the niacin in the person. They'd get that tingling feeling, and then they would just report, "Oh my God, I feel great now." So I don't know, the mind is really powerful. Like, I feel like the mind can allow you, if you can harness the power of your mind to really be as rational and objective as possible, and to, like, if you want to focus on something and love something and try to get better at it, like with sports or like with art or whatever, like, you can we can do amazing things. I mean, we fucking put people on the moon. Human beings have put people on the moon. That's incredible. That's a testament to how smart we can be. But if you're not really rigidly applying your mind in a skeptical way and being objective about it, and you just kind of let it run wild, well, that's when you get, the thing with I taste this in the water, even though it's the same fucking thing. It's like, it's almost like people are wasting their intelligence. I've seen this, like, have you ever seen people who they'll put their considerable intellect behind something ridiculous? Like, there are people who are like Christian apologists,
like conservatives.
Them too, except they usually don't have that much brain power. But like Christian apologists, people who they're smart people, they can form good arguments. They're well versed in like how to do philosophy properly. But what they'll do is they'll apply all of their critical thinking to defending and quite literally apologizing for Christianity, to the point where their title is Christian apologist. They have websites that are like apologetics websites, where they like, make arguments as to, well, this is why Christianity is true, because when blah, 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 blah. And like, they're obviously smart people and they have a lot to say and they could use their mind for things that make sense, but they just decided to dedicate it to, well, let me just defend this position, which is an absurd position, but let me use my intellect to try to rationalize why it's good and why it's right.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to see, because then you feel like if everybody just put our minds towards things that made sense, we probably already would have totally cured cancer. We already would have gotten rid of heart disease. The average life expectancy would be 250 years.
Yeah.
But we're just not, we don't know how to really...
They said that for people who are in prison. They're in prison because they've obviously committed a crime. They try to rob a bank. They try to kill someone. But meanwhile, these guys are, sneaking in drugs or doing all this crazy shit that, like, I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or something, but, like, the people in jail were sneaking in drugs through, like, an invisible something, through a letter, or, like, figuring out how to make a knife into this or that. And it's like, damn, if you're that fucking smart,
that's right,
like, why can't you be an engineer?
That's the thing is, like, and I think you and I felt this in high school, too, especially, is like, I didn't care about 90% of what we were being taught, and I didn't, it didn't interest me, so I didn't give a fuck, so I did barely enough to get by. But if, for example, I was in high school, and while I was in high school, I was only learning about things I could pick, like history and, like, politics and, other things. And I'm not saying it should be only the things I could pick. I'm just saying that some people in an academic environment, you're not focusing on the right things for them. Exactly. And they're not going to give a fuck about it. But when they find something they like and they dedicate themselves to it, well, then, the sky's the fucking limit. And a lot of people are like that. And unfortunately, there could be people who get D's in school, just flat out D's or even F's. But they're actually really smart. And
Yep.
they'll have students, teachers who will tell them or tell their parents, like, your kid's going to go nowhere because of this and this and this. And then meanwhile, that kid sits there and the kid knows deep down. It could be a kid who's really, really musically talented, but they get D's or F's or something. And they know, like, okay, you guys say this, but you don't know that I'm smart in this area and I care about this area. I'm good at producing music, or I'm good at doing whatever. There's a trillion things, even like gamers, like gamer kids who don't give a shit about school, and they're really good at gaming. They know that they have the ability and the potential to do whatever they want. They just don't want to do the shitty thing you're putting in front of them.
Yep.
So we view it too much in a black and white way, where it's like you either fail as a student and you're not going to make it in life, or you succeed.
And then it's like once you fail, it's over. It's like there's no hope for you. It's like, oh, that kid failed out of high school. Don't talk to that kid.
And society's so willing to just be like, oh, well, that person's just a loser. But wait a second, do you know everything that kid does? Do you know that, hey, in this area, they're actually fucking great at this shit?
Exactly. Well, that's why programs like BOCES and stuff, with every kid used to like joke about, like, if you went to BOCES, you're a weirdo. But like those programs are actually awesome. You spent half a day in school, and then for the other half of the day, you would go do some shit that you actually liked. You could do mechanic stuff, or they had barber schools. Like, you actually and those are the kids that like were usually a little problem child, but they actually are getting something out of school, as opposed to just sitting there the whole day and going to a boring ass math class, which they're gonna fail.
In Germany, they have apprenticeship programs. You get to choose. Like, I think it's after you get out of high school, and anybody listening from Germany can correct me here if I'm wrong, but from what I heard from, I think it was 60 Minutes, you get out of high school and you can choose, I want to go be an apprentice or I want to go to college. Yeah. And either way, it's funded by the taxpayer. But like, so you can go to do an apprenticeship and learn a trade that you want to do and that you want to get good at. And that's something. That's something that would be great for the U.S. I mean, I obviously believe in universal education, including college. So I think it should be tax funded if you want to go to college. But should we give kids the choice of, or you could do an apprenticeship thing and you can go into this field or that field? Yeah, it's like, so there aren't enough jobs for the number of people we have, but there are some jobs where they just can't get enough people to do them, and a lot of those jobs, could be filled if we had proper programs set up where, hey, I want to be an electrician. Okay, well, you're going to learn it in this apprenticeship program. I want to be a plumber. Okay, you're going to learn about it in this apprenticeship program. And there's no, like you were alluding to right there, there's no shame in that, man. It's
not at all. There's good money in that stuff.
Not only that, people, like, you can meet somebody who does some shit like that, and they fucking love their shit. Like, they love, okay, I get to go here and fix this, and it's a little challenge for them, and they get to diagnose the problem, and so there's nothing to look down upon. In fact, it's preferable probably. And whereas somebody like me, when I went to school, I got a political science degree, and not knowing what I would do after the fact, most people who have a political science degree either go on to law school or they have nothing to do, because it's not a degree that's very conducive to you doing something in the real world.
Broad too, like
I got lucky. What'd you say?
Well, it's like broad, it's like
it's very broad, and it's liberal arts, and like liberal arts is good for learning purposes, but very very rarely are there practical applications to it, and you kind of have to get lucky on that front. But like, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do and whatever you're good at, and it should be an option to have a really good apprenticeship to do something that's a little off the beaten path that requires more hands-on stuff than just sitting in a classroom.
Well, majors in general sometimes, like Molly got a degree in criminology, so what are there 5 jobs you can work, you fucking CSI or something like that, like
CSI. It's it gets tricky, man. There's a lot of degrees where you get out and you're like, now what? All right, so I had one more thing here I wanted to talk about. I tweeted this out yesterday. I had there's a documentary that I watched on Chernobyl, which is the place in Ukraine, I guess it is, with the nuclear meltdown. And they said something in there that just fucking blew my mind, man. They were close to having another reactor explode.
Recently?
No, back then. Like in the following days after the first one went.
Oh.
And if that happened, they say in the documentary that half of Europe would be uninhabitable. Because
still to this day, like it would.
Not only to this day, for like thousands of years.
What?
Because the way radioactivity works, apparently, and I'm an idiot, so again, anybody who needs to correct me on this, feel free. But the way it works is it's like a silent killer. Like, you don't realize you're getting dosed with it. And then they say, like, whatever, a day later or something, you go to the hospital and you have, like, you know, you throw up.
Yes,
and,
yeah, symptoms start coming up.
Yeah, and then they say, I think they even said there's, like, a latency period, like another one, basically. Like, okay, so you get dosed with it, you could be good for a day, a week, you could even be good for years, and then you get sick with it. But, like, after you get sick, then you feel fine again, and then you die. Like, it's like comical in how fucking scary it is and how evil it is.
It's strange.
So people would go and they would try to clean up and help with the effort at Chernobyl, and then they'd just all go to the hospital and they'd feel fine. Like, they would be sent to the hospital. They said they'd feel fine and they'd be laughing, joking, having fun, and then like 3 days later they'd be dead. And like all the people working at the hospital knew, like, okay, this person's good now,
but he's gonna die.
Yeah, and they're laughing, and they said they were like heartbroken because they know that these people don't know, but you're gonna die. Like, you're gonna die. You were just in a radioactive area, and there's like no symptoms when you're in the area either. They say if you're exposed to super high doses to the point where you'll die like pretty much immediately, you'll get like this, your eyes will burn and you'll get this like metallic taste in your mouth. But everybody else, like, you could be in a super high radioactive area and feel nothing. Like, you don't feel anything. And then eventually you just get sick and then you die.
Wow.
And so they said for Chernobyl, if another one of the reactors went, and it was about to, somehow they were able to stop it. But if that one went, half of Europe would be uninhabitable today.
Wow.
And then, so what I realized when I was watching this is, like, everybody feels, including myself, I think everybody's kind of guilty of this to one extent or another. We feel like like the system has its shit together to one degree or another, where, you know, everything's going to be all right. You know, like, it's going to be okay. You know, we may have problems, big problems that we're working on trying to fix, income inequality, whatever, you know, you go down a list. The climate change, like, okay, we're working on it, but we got this shit. I mean, come on. We got it. Everything looks pretty in control. Okay, I see houses on my block. You can go to the store and get some food. Everything's in control enough where it's all good. Like, we got this shit. But in reality, not really.
It just takes one thing, probably.
Another thing they said, and this is another crazy story, somewhat unrelated, but like a Russian submarine at one point thought that there was a launch against Russia from the United States, and in those circumstances, you're supposed to call for the nuclear attack and launch the nuclear attack. And they lost communication when they were in the submarine, and so this Russian general or whatever he was, admiral, I guess it would be, whatever it is. Kind of saved humanity by overruling what his natural orders would have been at that time. And I don't even know the guy's name, which shows you how terrible it is that, you know, this history has been suppressed. But, like, if he decided to do what he was supposed to do, which is launch the nuclear attack during the Cold War, because he thought Russia was under attack, or Soviet Union at the time, we'd all be dead. It would have been nuclear war between us and Russia and the Soviet Union. We would be dead. And it was just this one guy who decided, I'm not going to do that because I'm not 100% certain that we should do that. I don't believe the order. And then because of that guy, we're all alive today.
That guy should be on our $20 bill or something like that.
Yeah, that guy should be, everybody should know that fucking guy's name. And everybody should know the names of the people who went into Chernobyl and kind of stopped the second reactor from blowing. And then they all fucking died as they did it. But those guys saved half of fucking Europe by doing that. And again, man, we think we got shit under control. Bitch, we don't have shit under control. We set up all these nuclear power plants knowing that if something goes wrong, yeah, we have backup systems and backups to the backups. But so far, 3 Mile Island had a fuck up. That's in Pennsylvania, I think. You know, Chernobyl had a fuck up. Fukushima had a fuck up. Dude, they think we're so smart we figured it all out. 3 of these fucking things already had major issues, and on top of that, we have some of these things built on fault lines, Corin.
Yeah, that's no bueno.
These things are built right where fucking earthquakes happen. What if there's a gigantic earthquake and some shit happens, and the worst, a total nuclear meltdown happens? What are we going to do? What are we going to evacuate all of fucking California? And where are we going to move them to? Is Wyoming still going to be fucking feeling the radioactive nonsense?
We could all watch that The Rock movie, San Andreas. The Rock will come and save us all.
But that anyway, that shit, it scared me, man. Like when I watched that, I'm like, oh, okay, so we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Like
I always think about that shit. I'm just like, what is stopping? Like when we were watching what was that? When the moon turned orange or whatever?
Yeah, blood moon, blood moon.
Yeah, the blood moon. Like it's just like, what? We're just fucking like rotating. Like what is stopping something from just completely taking us off the fucking universe? Like
Yeah, I mean it could happen. Meteor, any of that shit can happen.
anything. Like we're just floating in fucking outer space.
Dude, even I know we spoke about this, a bunch of podcasts ago, but like World War I and World War II, like if you're somebody living in those areas like 2 years before the war happens, you have no fucking clue that a war's gonna happen. You're just living your life, and then next thing you know, there's fucking Nazis beating down your door and killing your dad or some shit.
Yeah, it's
like
absurd.
And to think, okay, so we all think, oh, come on, that was back in the day when people had stupid, crazy, fucking all-out wars like that. Number one, it's still like that for people in like Yemen and Iraq and in the Middle East and many places.
Yeah.
And number two, the idea that like, what, the U.S. and Russia have worked out all their shit and like it's guaranteed to not escalate to war at some point. That's just not true. Like people might naively think like, oh no, we're good. Like no matter what, no huge war like that will ever happen again. It certainly can, and if it does happen again, it is going to be worse because now the nuclear technology that we have is way more powerful than it was. Mm-hmm. Like back in the day, the ones we dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were fucked up and super terrible. But now we have ones that are way more powerful than those.
Mm-hmm. And even just regular guns and airplanes and shit alone are like better now.
Yeah, so it's almost like, when you grow up and think about this stuff, you're like, oh, okay. So none of this shit is, like, because when you're young, I know when I was young, you just look and you say, okay, I basically get how shit works. My parents got their shit down on lock. But no, like, just no.
Nope. Well, you know what the Chernobyl thing reminds me of? That like with the World Trade Center when it crumbled and all those people were inhaling whatever dust, and then you see like 10, 15 years later, people were starting to die because they got a cancer or some shit.
And they had no clue.
They had no idea. They were just like, oh, this is just a big dust cloud.
That's right.
And firefighters actually had diseases and died from shit.
Not only that, Congress was not paying for their health care. And they voted down the bill, dude. They voted down the bill. And it took Jon Stewart, of all people,
remember that,
doing the shows on it, and then Fox News picking it up after Jon Stewart. It took them to make the fucking change, which is amazing. Amazing. These people were heroes, and then their country fucking let them down.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yep.
All right, man. Wild. So that's all I got. You got anything else you want to talk about, or are we wrapping it up, skis?
I got like two. Well, so I just saw the movie Intern with Robert De Niro, and it made me think like why companies don't do like instead of hiring young ass kids out of college, why aren't they hiring like an old guy like my dad or something who's like 65, 70, who's fucking worked his whole life, has seen everything, to come in and actually be an intern and oversee your company.
Yeah, they want hungry people, man, and it's fucked up. But they want people who they feel like they could take advantage of. Like your dad knows his shit. He knows that you can't tell me X, Y, and Z because that's what are you? I'm not gonna stay overtime when I'm not getting paid as an intern or whatever. Mm-hmm. These people, when they're young and impressionable, they want to get them, and they feel like they'll work longer and harder, and they're more hungry. And
then two, how come there's so many Republican debates but the Democratic debates there's not as many? Or are there as many? It's just spread out more or something like that.
So there was a big issue. Like last election, there were too many Republican debates, and the RNC was like, we need to not do that again because all of our guys looked fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So they wanted to limit it as much as possible, and they were able to limit it a little bit, but there's still plenty of Republican debates.
Yeah, because they've already had two, and the Democrats are just having their first on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if like the Democrats are going to squeeze more in a shorter time frame. I don't know though. It might just flat out be less. And I do know that Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's the head of the DNC, I think, and there's some evidence to suggest that they're kind of colluding with the Clintons to make it fewer debates, because if there are fewer debates, that favors Hillary and screws over Bernie Sanders. because
because then people would start to know him more if there were more
right,
debates. Right? Yeah.
Hillary already has the celebrity name. Hillary already has much more recognition. She's already leading in the polls. Only thing that could happen from here is she can go down and he can rise, which is exactly what's been happening. The more debates there are, the more he runs circles around her and shows how he's a true progressive, the more she's hurt. So, the Democratic machine is trying to line up behind Clinton in these sleazy ways.
Are you excited for the debate on Tuesday?
Believe it or not, I like watching the Republican debates more because they're so immensely stupid and easy to mock, and I gain like hundreds of Twitter followers every Republican debate. Because
you're actually gonna have to do research on Tuesday to actually see what they said. Whereas the Republican one, it's just like these guys are such clowns. They're just jokes themselves.
Yeah, I know. What is God? Is God supporting your campaign? Are you fucking serious? It's 2015. That's what you just fucking asked. The Democrats will be getting, as much as I dislike Hillary Clinton, she's going to be getting it. She's going to have substantive policy discussions with Bernie.
Yeah.
I think half the shit that comes out of her mouth is going to be untrue, and she's basically going to be pretending she's more progressive than she is. But there's going to be a substantive conversation. They're going to be talking about tax policy and healthcare policy and a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And one last point, I don't know this, and I've just been seeing it all. Why does nobody want that Speaker of the House job?
Oh, because the Republicans are fucking lunatics, bro.
But isn't that a powerful job? Wouldn't someone want that?
It's a powerful job, but you can't control those motherfuckers. So there's the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party, which is super far right and somewhat conspiratorial and anti-Obama about everything. And then there's the establishment Republicans who actually aren't nearly as much anti the Democrats, as long as the Democrats are also sellouts to Wall Street and stuff. So a guy like John Boehner and a guy like Mitch McConnell, they're guys who, for all their flaws, they're establishment guys. So if the Democrats and the Republicans agree on something that Wall Street wants, which they usually do, those guys are willing to vote with the Democrats because, hey, we're all selling out to Wall Street together. The Tea Party base, they're not as big sellouts, which is good, but their downside is they're fucking lunatics. They don't know anything. They don't even know how our government works. A lot of those guys kept screaming at John Boehner, try to defund Obamacare and defund Planned Parenthood. Well, John Boehner was like, hey, jackasses, I literally cannot do that because no matter what happens, let's say we succeed and get it through the Senate, not just the House. President Obama will veto any of that shit, so we're wasting our time. So he's just being practical when he says that. Well, the Tea Party base says, no, I don't care about practicality. I want you to just fucking do it. And he's like, it doesn't make sense to do it. They're like, I don't care. We want you to do it. So for defunding Planned Parenthood or stopping Obamacare or any of that shit, they literally can't win, but they're so stupid that they don't acknowledge the fact that they can't win. And they're just rabid, foaming at the mouth lunatics who are so anti-Obama in every way that they want to attack. So anybody who takes that speaker position is going into that position knowing they're going to be hated by their party. Because either you do what the establishment wing wants you to do, and then you'll piss off the Tea Party, or you do what the Tea Party wing wants you to do, and then you'll piss off the establishment. So there's no winning in that position.
Yeah, so it just shows the division within their own party.
That's right. It shows the division, and it also shows that nobody in that party is serious. Because nobody, whether they're establishment wing or Tea Party wing, nobody can effectively communicate to these people that you're just wrong. Nobody's able to tell them, okay, you're in the Tea Party wing, you hate Obama, you want to defund Obamacare. You're just wrong. It's impossible to defund it at this point, and also, idiots, it's not some sort of government takeover of healthcare. It's not some sort of uber left-wing plot. It's our proposal from the 1990s, you dipshits. Read a little bit about it. But nobody can communicate facts to them, and even if anybody does, they simply don't accept it because they're anti-facts. Yeah, it's crazy, man. Those motherfuckers are out of their fucking minds. There's no doubt about it.
But someone will take the job, right?
Somebody is going to have to, of course, but what's going to get done? I don't know. Right now, the reason why Boehner stepped down is because they wanted him to fight to defund Planned Parenthood, and he knows he literally cannot win that fight. So they viewed that as, he's with the Democrats, or he's, whatever. And so he had enough. He's like, I'm out.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, all right.
All right,
cleared me up.
All right, guys. We love you, and we'll try to do one of these next week. Corin, good talk as always, brother. And
Yes,
we'll talk
sir.
soon.
Peace.